they paid a buyer agency commission. They signed a contract. I mean, were they coerced to do this? They were advised to do that. This is what we advise. This is what the normal practice is. Was there wrongdoing or coercion in this? No, you signed an agreement. So it's almost like, all right, we're changing. Maybe we need to change the system.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Shawn and Matt Show. My name is Matt, that is Shawn, and welcome to our show, Shawn. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about one of the commission lawsuits that has reached a settlement and the tens of millions of dollars that they came to on that settlement agreement. We're going to be talking about deadlines, the never-ending conversation about deadlines for offers and whether or not that should be more publicly available. And then we're also going to be getting into in or out, whether Shawn battles in or out on 3 properties around the United States. Shawn, let's start with a groundbreaking news article in regards to the commission lawsuit for Anywhere Real Estate, formerly Realty. Anywhere owns a couple different real estate brands like Sotheby's, like Coldwell Banker, like Century 21, and they just agreed to a settlement to avoid going to trial over the Morrill lawsuit. So Morrill and the Sitzer lawsuit. So there's the Morrill lawsuit, there's the Sitzer-Burnett lawsuit, and Shawn, there was actually a third lawsuit. I don't know if you were aware of that as well in New England. It was a lawsuit that came to a settlement agreement in July where the New England, one of the, MLS PIN agreed to pay $3 million. So there's essentially 3 different lawsuits. And now what Anywhere has said is, we are going to settle for allegedly $83 million settlement in the Morrill and the Sitzer-Burnett class action lawsuits. So now they are out of the picture, which leaves other defendants like NAR, Home Services of America, RE/MAX, and Keller Williams, who are still on track to go to trial in October. So, Shawn, what are your thoughts on Anywhere agreeing to a settlement for $84 million as opposed to going to trial?
I mean, this is all news to me. Basically, let's give a rundown of why this lawsuit is here. They are saying that there was unfair commission. So we're inflating home prices based on the seller having to pay a buyer agent commission. So this is how real estate has run ever since I've been in the business. Since, in 20 years, it has been like this. I know no different. So, we're all used to that. Agents are used to that. That's what we're taught. That's what we're said that, hey, this is how the system works. When you get a listing agreement, you got to pay out a certain percentage, blah, blah, blah. It's not fixed. You can put whatever you want in those line items, but, sometimes it's like, all right, well, will you get more people if you pay more? That kind of thing. Will you get more showings if you pay more? And you're not supposed to. So anyways, this lawsuit is saying that these people are suing a class action lawsuit for the fact that they were made to pay a buyer agency commission. And they want it to be shown as, the buyer should be paying their buyer agent commission. And if you think about it logically, it kind of makes sense, right? But I think the problem was for years, and I don't think it was malicious. I don't know. I mean, I'm not the person that set these rules and, came up with this idea, but the thought is that, how else are the buyers actually going to pay that fee? Because it sometimes can be a lot of money. And when buyers are going to purchase a house, they are putting money down, they're paying their closing costs. Well, their closing costs might be $10,000, $15,000 higher based on this. So will they have the cash to actually pay that? Then the other side of it is, well, are buyer agents making too much money? Are they being paid too much money? I mean, I know the stresses that we go through. I know sometimes transactions can be simple and other times they can be absolute hell. So I think we earn our money because we run a lot. We work every day. We work weekends. We're always on the clock. So I don't know. I think this is the ground setting the stage for buyer agent commissions to start to go away. And we saw the start of this a few weeks ago when Bright MLSs were saying that now you can pay out $0 as a buyer agent commission. You could always pay out $1. You could pay out whatever you wanted, but now you can actually pay out $0. So that was the foundation set to say, hey, let's start phasing out this buyer agency commission. Now we have these huge lawsuits that are going through that are saying, and when you pay out a lawsuit, you're saying, all right, maybe I was wrong. I'm assuming, right?
How
maybe
about Anywhere? Yeah. Anywhere agreeing to the settlement. I mean, that's basically them saying, listen, we're in the deep right now, and we got to get out of this as soon as possible.
Yeah.
To, dare I say, save the company. Anywhere's market cap is $650 million. They're allegedly paying out $83 million. That's 12% of their entire marketing cap. I mean, how much more money do they have available when you're paying out $83 million for a lawsuit? Not much.
Yeah. And here's the thing is like, how much is each person going to get in this class action lawsuit? I mean, $83 million over how many years, how many people that are affected? I don't know this.
Okay, well, that brings us to the next point of Sitzer versus Burnett. This is the Missouri class action lawsuit. All these lawsuits are the same, right? They're all a group of people that are saying NAR, that are saying Anywhere, that are saying Remax, Keller Williams, whoever I'm forgetting, Home Services. They're saying that you're fixing the commissions in order to force sellers to pay for the buyer commission. And the one in Missouri, it has over 500,000 people, and there's $4.8 billion at stake, which is a tremendous amount of money. With the $500 people, that equates to around $9,600. So when you think, $9,600, but have you ever taken part in a class action lawsuit? Have you ever done like Facebook sold your data, sign up for the class action?
$3.
You get $3 if you're. I get 3 cents. I get 13 cents. So we're talking about $4.8 billion in Missouri alone. I mean, think about it this way: Anywhere has Sotheby's, it has Century 21, it has Coldwell Banker, it has I think Berkshire Hathaway might be in there. I don't know, but they have monumental companies, and they're saying $83 million. Let's get this off the books. Let's agree to this. Imagine what's going to happen in Missouri. Imagine when this goes to trial. I mean, you have $4.8 billion. If the first, let me ask you this way. If the first company is saying, hey, $83 million, let's take care of business here, what do you think those next companies, do you think that just set the price? Do you think this is like free agency where, one person signs, sets the market, and now if you want out, you got to pay the price, or we're, going to court and, trying to take you for $4.8 billion.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is now other agents, so they just almost basically when you're paying money out there, aren't you admitting like, okay, maybe we're wrong?
And is there even going to be money available at the end of this to get paid out? Because if you're these class action lawsuits, maybe the plaintiffs were like, oh shoot, let's get as much from the first person as possible, because these next companies, they may not have the money.
It could be that, or it could be like Anywhere was like, hey, I think $83 million is cheap. We could be on the hook for a lot more. Let's just settle for $83 million. And these are, if you think about the brands and how much real estate they sell per year, it's way, way more than that, so the money that they're pulling in every year is pretty large. So,
well, they said, Anywhere said, according to a statement, we believe the settlement will remove future uncertainty with respect to the upcoming trial, potential additional claims, and legal expense, enabling Anywhere to focus on and continue delivering what's next for agents and franchisees. Given ongoing legal proceedings and confidentiality agreements between parties, we cannot comment further at this time. So they're basically saying like, yeah, we got to pay this. And it's a money grab, right? The class action lawsuits, they're just going to try to get as much as they possibly can. It's kind of a dancing act, right? Because they know if they try to ask for too much, all the cards will crumble. But if they ask for too little, the big companies like Anywhere can still make out. So, getting $83 million allegedly, is a huge win for the plaintiffs. And do I say general public? Do I say buyers? What, like, who's winning here?
I guess the sellers are winning, because the sellers that have already sold, because they're getting money from this class action lawsuit because they paid a buyer agency commission. But the thing is, like, all right, they paid a buyer agency commission. They signed a contract. I mean, were they coerced to do this? They were advised to do that. This is what we advise. This is what the normal practice is. Was there wrongdoing or coercion in this? No, you signed an agreement. So it's like, it's almost like, all right, we're changing. Maybe we need to change the system, but does it warrant the fact that, oh, I was coerced in doing this? I feel like this is the wrong thing, you know? And I can sign a contract right now paying out $0. And the chances are that it won't get a ton of showings because what has to happen now is the buyer has to pay it, right? The buyer's got to pay that 3 or 2 or whatever percent. And
well, so what?
So what though? I mean, that's true, but
you haven't done that before. So how do you know that that's going to happen?
What do you mean?
You haven't paid out $0 before. So how do you know that you're not going to get action on it?
I would assume. I don't know.
That's the problem. Everyone's assuming. Well, if this property is paying out X and that property is going to pay out, X plus 5,000, then all the buyer's agents are going to recommend X plus 5,000, and the other one's not going to sell. People say that, and there are unscrupulous agents that will steer their clients to the properties that pay more.
Yeah.
But what's the downside of having more transparency and allowing buyers to pay their agent a fair rate for the services that agent provides? Shawn, you're one of the top listing agents in Arlington. How many incompetent buyer's agents are you running into on a daily basis where you're just thinking it'd just be so much easier if I was working with this buyer directly?
Yeah, I mean, I run into that plenty of times, and I think I don't know, it's a tough one. Paying out a buyer agency commission is just like you said. It's what we were used to. It's what we've been told, and that's what we've done for years.
Well, just because we've done it for years doesn't make it the right thing to do.
Correct. It doesn't, and I'm not saying that it is the right thing to do. That's all we've known. That's how we've done business. That's how we were taught the business. I think it's fine for buyers to pay their own agent. I think that probably makes more sense, right? If I'm paying for a service for you to get me a house and get me the best deal that I can, you're going to seek out the best buyer agents, right? And you're going to try to, and the best buyer agents are going to seek more money because they're like, well, I don't want to represent you because it's not enough money for me, right? And so I can see how this makes sense, and I think maybe it should follow that direction in, not paying out, the seller's not paying out all the commissions. I don't see a problem with it. It's just the fact that there's a lawsuit going on that I'm assuming these people are saying that they were coerced in having to do this. And I see that, okay, this is the standard and this is how we've done it for years. But, if you look at, here's another thing. When markets fluctuate up and down, right? We've seen commissions vary a lot. If you look on our side, and especially with the new homes, sometimes, they'll be begging us and saying, hey, if you've got a buyer, we're going to pay you 3 plus whatever percent it is, more and more and more. Then when the market gets hot, they're like, nope, we'll pay you nothing, basically zero. And they fluctuate so much on good and bad markets. And that's another thing to think about is when the markets are hot, maybe those commissions come down a little bit. And when it's cold, those commissions come back up. And, in the end, it's all relative. But in the end, I think it makes more sense for the buyer to pay the buyer's agent. I believe it's just harder, and we have to figure out how that can happen. And maybe that fee will come down. I think it will,
And, people are saying, oh, how can we get the buyer to pay if they can barely bring a down payment, if they're VA, if they're this? And it doesn't really work until something has been changed. And if we can change the buyer compensation agent from the seller to zero, then we can also change to have a way for the lender to include the buyer agent costs or another line item to be included. So even if the inevitable happens, which I think buyer agent commissions are going to be going down, there's other ways for buyer agents to be compensated, to include the buyer agent paying or maybe even lumping that into the loan. I think that's not set in stone, and we'll figure this out as we always do.
Yeah, and here's the thing, the real estate industry as a whole has eyes on it all the time, and eyes more and more and more. Everybody's gotten digging into this stuff. But if you look at any industry that is on a commission-based industry, we are probably the most transparent if you think about it. How do lenders make their money? Do you know? Does anybody know? Well, it's baked in, but you don't actually see, hey, they're making X percent. It's baked in. Just like a car salesman. A car salesman can go out and he can charge Matt $50,000 for a car, and then he can go around and charge me $55,000 for the same car, right? There's nothing in there that says that they can't do that. And so it's like, you can look at every industry and say, all right, there's something wrong with this. There needs to be, hey, we need to change the system. Let's file a class action lawsuit. In the end, I think that it's the right way to go. Personally, I think that, listing agents, buyer agents, separate, that they should all be separated in that way, but we'll see.
So getting back to the lawsuit real quick, the announcement of Anywhere's settlement comes about a month before the Sitzer-Burnett lawsuit is set to go to trial. You know who hasn't talked about settling? You know who hasn't talked about a settlement? NAR. NAR has not talked about a settlement. In fact, here's Mantel Williams, NAR's Vice President of Public Relations and Communication Strategy, said in a statement, settlement is always an option for any party in litigation. NAR's commitment to defend ourselves in court remains unchanged, and we are confident we will prevail in proving lawfulness of the rules under attack.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say his boilerplate plates about how, if you pay the buyer agent, it's a competitive market, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, and everybody's going to defend their way of doing things. And like I said, in the 20 years that I've been doing business, I never felt anybody think, oh my gosh, I'm being coerced into paying this money. They never said that to me. They've never felt that way. It's an industry standard. Now, maybe you're going to say, well, this is ingrained in their heads. Like, this is just, is it right to keep charging this money if, that's all they know?
Well, I'm not 100% familiar. I can't recite the Sherman Antitrust Act, but I can tell you that you don't have to be coerced into signing a contract for it not to be an antitrust violation. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can still sign a contract, and then later you can be informed, like, did you know that this person has, flat payment? Like, did you know you had to whatever? Like, right. I don't think
I don't know that side
under
of the law,
duress. So. Yeah. I mean, you're watching a podcast about two real estate agents in, a condo talking about lawsuits. Clearly, we didn't go to law school. So, if you're a lawyer, you can chime in the comment section down below. But if you're NAR, you're basically saying we're in it. Like, we are in it. And if you see Anywhere settle for $83 million a month before the trial, are you saying, oh, thank gosh, they only settled for 83 and not 183 million? Or are you saying, holy cow, we need to jack our membership dues even higher to pay for this upcoming lawsuit when we go to trial?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know. I don't know if that's a lot of money or not. And I think the one thing that's happening right now in this industry is we're seeing a lot of change. There's so much change going on. There's change from, big box brokerages to, the kind of brokerage that we joined. And everybody's hurting because the market is so good in areas, bad in other areas. It's fluctuating. It's up and down. A lot of agents have pulled out of the industry because it's hard to make money, because there's not a lot for sale. And we're seeing scarcity in the market all over the place. So, it's almost like these companies are hurting, and they're just like, we need to focus on building ourselves bigger. We need to focus on moving forward. So let's put this behind us. Let's pay the money, and let's focus on how we're going to build our brand better. And I think that maybe that's one of the big things that's going on right now in the industry. I don't know. Who knows?
It will be fascinating. As the kids say, get your popcorn ready, because the class action lawsuits moved to the courtroom on October 16th. So about a month away. I got to think that at least one other party is going to settle. I got to think. It's not going to be NAR, but one of these other companies is going to settle.
Well, just think about how expensive it is to go to court. We saw what they're paying different people. You have 15 lawyers on there, and you're paying them all this money, the $1 million a year some of them are getting, right? So it's like that stuff adds up quickly. And maybe it's better just to say we're done.
So the $83 million payout from Anywhere, that is, alleged. They haven't released it officially, but that's what everyone is reporting. So be sure you are subscribed because we will be updating this case as we get more information. Shawn, let's move on to our next topic. This topic comes from me, yours truly.
Matt's own topic.
Who is the source? It reminds me of Muriel Bowser. She was holding a press conference in like 2020, and she was talking about something with the police, and she was like, so-and-so, this is what's going to happen. And then the reporter goes, "Who's your source?" And she goes, "Me." Like, I'm the source. The mayor. The mayor of Washington, D.C. I'm the person that told the police to do this. I'm the source. So we did a in and out maybe last week about some dumb house in Washington that was like, it looked like bird poop kind of.
Yeah.
It's just like bird
like
poop
a
rocks.
honeycomb kind
of
thing.
Yeah. And when I clicked on the Zillow listing, I saw it was a single family residence. It had a driveway, acres, buyer's fee agency. But one thing I saw that I hadn't seen anywhere else was an offer review period listed on Zillow. So Redfin, you have the option. I think if enough people click on your listing, you have the option. Redfin will send you an email and say, "Hey, we have 25 buyers interested in your house. Set a deadline so more people can see it." You do that, and then in like red letters, actually pretty cool. Red letters, it shows up like, "You need a tour soon because there's a deadline in 22 hours." Now Zillow has that, and that was news to me. And so I reached out to the Bright MLS, which is the MLS for DC, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Mid-Atlantic. I was like, "Hey, the top 2 home buying websites have this really cool feature that maybe the public could be interested in. Any thoughts on including it?" And they got back to me and said, "Oh, we're not thinking about that, but we are working on more details in a listing related to offer management." So some sort of facet. So
I did get an email the other day that they did change a few things.
They did change a few things. Okay.
I don't know exactly what. I didn't look.
We'll have to look into that. So I'm wondering, when you're on Zillow, when you're on Redfin, put yourself in the shoes of a home buyer. Do you think it would be helpful to see price, year, square footage, buyer agency commission, acres, and then offer review period? You think that would be a cool feature, or you think there'd be some negative things that would happen?
No, I think this is 100% needed because this is how people make a decision. I do offer deadlines, but it's funny. It's like, all right, do we put an offer deadline? Do we not? Should we not? Right? Maybe if we just started the habit to say offers will always be due on Tuesday at noon, something like that, and we just get into the habit. And if we don't get any, okay, well, we didn't get any, right?
How do you tell buyers, or how do you tell agents, how do you tell people that there's an offer deadline?
Right now, the only way to do that would be through showing time, right? You send out a notice to all the agents that have shown the property to say, "Hey, we're going to review offers at this date." The second way to do it is put it into like other terms or other remarks or public remarks inside the listing, and just say offers due Tuesday at noon, the first thing that it says right there. That's really the only way that you're going to get it out there. And I think you're 100% right in having a field or having a notice that says, "Hey, go see this quickly because offers are due here." That doesn't mean that they're getting an offer. They have an offer. This is what they're deciding to do. So I think it's they feel like they're going to get offers this weekend. So maybe it's in your best interest to get in there quickly.
Well, if you put it in showing time, then buyers that are interested in the property that maybe haven't got a chance to see it yet, they're not notified. And then if you put it in the remarks section, half the agents, they're going to put it in the private remarks, and then they're going to forget to do it in the public, or they're going to put it in the public remarks next to their all caps, paragraph of nonsense.
Yeah.
So it's so easy to miss the deadline when it's in the remarks. Why not have a way to put it in right up front on Zillow?
It should be. It should be there. It should, just like the price pushes to all these websites, there should be a line item for a deadline.
Now, I commented, and of course people hate the idea on the Bright MLS because that's what they do. You come up with an idea, they hate it. So people say, just remember, a seller can accept an offer at any time, regardless of an offer deadline. Unfortunately, if it was shown to a buyer, then there'd be many annoyed people thinking that they had extra time to view it or see it, and then poof, it's gone. Well, Stacey Magrid, I got news for you. Public transparency and being aware of what the deadline is and when it happens, there's not a downside to that. You're telling me the downside is agents have to be publicly transparent and be held accountable for the things that they say they're going to say? Where's the downside in that? I think offer deadlines that are publicly available on Zillow is only beneficial for the consumer and for everyone. The only downside is when an agent goes against their word and pulls a property before the deadline.
Yeah, now there's a point made there, right? The seller can say, all right, we can set a deadline and say, hey, seller Matt, would you like to set a deadline of Tuesday at noon? Yeah, I would, Shawn. Okay, perfect. Hey, Matt, I just got this offer for $100,000 over asking, no contingencies. It expires tonight. Would you like to take it? What the heck are you going to do, right? So you have to now advise your client and go against maybe the grain. So I understand why some people might be upset about this because, hey, I'm putting a deadline in here, but just know at any time during this, we could take an offer. You can.
You're getting
you
bullied.
The right to do.
You're getting bullied by an offer.
No, because I've been there. And
do you want to work with that buyer? Is that the buyer you want to work with that forces
I've
your
done
hand?
it myself. Like I'm working for the buyer though. That's the thing is if I'm working for the buyer, I'm trying to get this house off the market as soon as I can for my clients. So I'll do whatever I can to do that. As a listing agent, I'm doing the opposite. I'm trying to get it to the deadline so that we can get as many offers and I can get the best contract possible for my client. So I can understand it on both ways. I think transparency should be, hey, this is what we plan on doing. Please have your offers in by this time. If this changes, then change it in the listing and make sure that it's, hey, I got an offer today that's awesome. We're changing this deadline to Saturday. Sometimes that happens. There's nothing you can do about it. I guess the problem is that once you put in a deadline, it might change, right? It might change. I mean, agents do this all the time. So I can see where she's angry about it, but we always try to get to that deadline.
Maybe don't put in a deadline if you think it's going to change.
Well, and that's another thing. Right? You don't have to put in a deadline. And sometimes I don't. And sometimes it depends on the market, right? If I know that like agents are crawling at me and like, Shawn, gimme, right? I'm like, listen, dude, deadline Tuesday at noon. All right. I'm not being bullied by you. Like I'm setting the tone here. And if you do that right up front, you have an easier chance of saying no offers until this time. So I think if you're upfront about it and saying, no, we will not review any offers until Tuesday at noon, and you lay it out strongly, then everything should be fine. I've just seen the opposite happen. I've seen where somebody didn't take an offer on the front end and then like, no, we're going to wait to the deadline. And guess what happens? They got that amazing offer. They rewrite lower. Hey, here's your offer now that you have 0 offers at your deadline. So, you run into that risk of, oh, I was over ask, now I'm under ask, or now I'm at asking.
If you do as many deals as you do, you're going to run into every scenario under the sun. And so I'm thinking if there's accountability and transparency, why not give that to the public?
Yeah, I think that's the right thing to do. Put transparency out there and let people know when it's happening. Redfin does it. Redfin gets a ton of people, ton of traffic on there. I get their emails all the time. Hey, you have a hot property. Do you want to change your? Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. In Redfin's website, I think it's good for the consumer to say, hey, if I can get more offers, if everybody knows that I haven't, like, hey, I know I have an offer. I know I have an offer. The public doesn't. And we're reviewing offers Tuesday. So if I can get another one, I'm going to put it out there and say, hey, get your offer in by Tuesday so I can get a better offer for my client.
Well, let us know in the comment section down below if you think offer deadlines should be like one of those first things that you see when you pull up a listing. I think it's kind of cool and useful, but just as offer deadlines became a thing in like 2016, 15, I don't know, they could just as easily disappear. So I don't know. These trends come and go, but
well, I think try it out. See if it works. See what happens. And I think that's the one problem with our system is it's when you look at it on the back end or even on the front end, it's so archaic. And there are things that I've been crying about for years. I'm like, why can't you do this in the MLS? Why is it so hard to just add this field? Or like when you're putting a listing in, it should automatically say, all right, is this a condo or is this a single family home, right? And if it's a condo, then other things should pop up. And if it's a single family home, like we don't care about acreage on a condo. We care about acreage on a single family home. The other thing that we don't care about in a house is a den, but in a condo, it means a lot of money, right? And so like I've always been saying, like if I'm selling a condo, I want to know if it's a two bedroom den, one bedroom den, because those little things, one room means a lot right along the orange line. If it's a house, it's not really going to mean as much because it's based on more of a square footage or the size or the bedrooms mean more. So I think there's a lot of improvement that could go on in our system that gets overlooked. And I've mentioned many things to them many times, and nothing seems to change.
Well, if you want to have some fun, the next time you have an idea, post it on this Facebook forum.
There you go.
And then you'll have a bunch of people call you an idiot, even if it is a good idea. All right, let's move to in or out, whether Shawn battles in or out on 3 houses across the United States. Shawn, let's go to Ransom Canyon, Texas. This is the world-famous Robert Bruno steel house, and it could be yours for $2 million. Shawn's already given me a look. So it is 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, about, 2450 square feet, and it overlooks a lake outside of Lubbock, Texas. The inside has a spiral staircase and really spiral everything. I don't know if there's any straight lines on the interior of this house. It was originally constructed, I think around like many years ago, and it was left empty. It was actually never finished. And then just recently, I think the owner died, and then a new owner came in and finally finished I'll call it a structure, finally finished the house. So, Shawn, are you in or are you out on the world-famous Robert Bruno steel house for $2 million?
Matt, I like the views. The views are great. You're perched on a hill overlooking the lake. But the thing about this is that, number one, I don't like a metal exterior. It rusts and it just looks awful, and you can't really paint it. And, I'm the type of person that likes some change here and there with the interior, exterior of my house. I'm always constantly doing something. I feel like this house, you can't paint the exterior. The interior is so whimsical. Let's put it that way. It's whimsical, right? There's no straight line in there. It almost feels like a clown house. So your furniture, you can't buy ordinary furniture. It just looks weird in there, right? I mean, it has to be custom-made furniture. Man, is this place weird. This is like, who was on drugs when they were designing this? That's it. Like, if you want a hit of acid and then go into this house, I think that's for you. But this is not mine. This is not me. I'm passing on this. This is a big hard pass.
Pass me the tabs because I am in on this house. Shawn, it's cool. I love the exterior. I love the view, and I think the entire house is an artistic piece of ingenuity, and it's different. I can't describe and put into words why I enjoy this house so much.
Oh my God.
It might have to do with the view. It might have to do with the location is kind of cool because it's like outside of Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah.
So it's not, I guess it's Texas, so it's in the middle of nowhere, but it's not completely isolated. And then you have a lake that you can go and hang out at. And the owners, interestingly enough, just put it on Airbnb. So if you don't want to pay the $2 million price tag, you can rent it out on Airbnb for $517 a night. I got to imagine that is not profitable at all. They are trying to get rid of this. But it may be the most interesting house in Texas, and I am in. Just like I like, Billy's house on Garfield Street.
Billy's house is cool. I've never seen the inside, but
what do you think about the out? So you think it's cool, but the outside has the rust.
Yeah,
you just said you hadn't seen the inside.
I have not seen the inside. I'm not a fan of the rust look.
But you just said it's cool.
I mean, it's not very cool.
It's not very cool.
No. I mean, like, it's a big house. It's like,
okay.
I'm not a huge fan of it.
But you just said it was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of, just siding with Billy, but like, I don't really like it.
Okay, personally. Well, I like it. I like is it worn? Is it like a copper? Is it like an oxidized, rust? I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's different for sure. It took vision, but this thing is like insanity, and I'm very surprised that Matt took this, and that
I'm surprised I took it too.
Yeah,
but like I said, I can't really describe why I liked it because I'm usually out on the whimsical stuff because it's silly and dumb.
Yeah,
but
hey,
that one sold me.
I think you got to go with your gut. You went with your gut quickly. I went with my gut hard. Hey, to each their own, right?
All right, next property. Let's move to Denver, Colorado. Shawn, we have an artistic studio in downtown Denver for $525,000. It has a retro kitchen with pink appliances. It's in the Arts District, and it is about 950 square feet for $525. You're near downtown Denver. A lot of hiking, a lot of cool things to do in Denver. And you have this, industrial type of artsy studio with the retro kitchen. Shawn, are you in or out on the studio in Denver for $525?
You know, talk about Barbiecore, huh? This is the epitome of Barbiecore. They've got the pink kitchen, pink appliances. This is something that you don't
check
see
out that
often.
refrigerator. That's a retro fridge.
It's a retro fridge. Yeah, it was like my old school fridge I had growing up. But
Where did you get that coffee maker? That coffee maker was pink too.
Was it really? So they got the Barbiecore going on. You know, oddly enough, I did go and see properties in Denver, and there were a lot of loft-like style homes like this inside the city limits. I went and helped a friend look at places. Personally, though, I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit off. You know, they have some cool features where they have a wall that pulls for privacy and things like that. I'm not a fan of those metal roofs, metal ceilings. It just doesn't feel like home to me. It could be cool for a little while for the artist, but for me right now in my life, I'm going to pass, Matt.
I'm out as well. You know, $525 for something like this. It just looks like an art studio that they put a bed and a kitchen in. And that's probably because that's exactly what they did. $525. If I were to be $525 in Denver, now I don't know what that could get me in Denver because I know Denver prices are shooting up, but I think I'd want a house. I think I'd want a townhouse. Yeah. I think I'd sacrifice, fine, put me in whatever commute I gotta be in. But if I'm gonna be $525 in Denver for a studio, it's not gonna be this one.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to our last property, Shawn. Okay. Shawn, what is the last property that we're going to do?
I don't know. What is the last property we're going to do?
Oh, that's right. It is the $25 million McLean estate.
Ooh.
So just in our own backyard, we have the Stratford house. It's a $25 million estate on the McLean Gold Coast. So we have 8 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, and 2 partials. So a lot of bathrooms, a lot of bedrooms. The Gold Coast of McLean, you know, it actually hasn't been renovated in over 20 years. So the play here, as you're getting a little video of the property, is, I mean, check out that stairwell. It's got to go. Someone's going to come in and buy this for the land. They're either going to tear down, they're going to tear down the house, or they are going to heavily renovate it. There was a property down the street that sold for the land for around $20 million. Wow. And so this house, which, by the way, library, looks incredible. You got the wood-burning fireplace. A little history about the property, because all these properties have histories. It was constructed in 1973 by illustrious descendants of both the Lee and Bowman families. The French provincial masterpiece is positioned on approximately 4 acres and considered one of the most important estates on prestigious Crest Lane and a renowned destination of over 50 years of entertaining. A squirrel and acorn statue, emblems from the Robert E. Lee family crest, introduced the parking court to the estate. Certainly an interesting thing to brag about.
Yeah,
so
that's different.
Are you in or are you out on the Stratford house, which, by the way, also has ties to Robert E. Lee, that name, for $25 million?
All right. Robert E. Lee aside, when I first saw the house, I thought it was really a pretty home. $25 million, like, I'm not in the $25 million realm in this area, but...
You're not?
I'm buying it, I guess, because I feel like, I don't know, I don't think they will tear it down. I think you got to buy it as is and renovate it if you want to renovate it. I think it looked fine inside because we've seen plenty of places around that have not been renovated that this is the way people want them. They want them to be this French provincial kind of old style in there, like Old Town. You go down to Old Town, $5 million townhouse. It's an old look to it, right? It's a certain style that people have. It's not my style, but this is right on the river too, right?
Correct.
So you've got a lot right on the Potomac. That's pretty spectacular. Actually, yesterday I was coming across Chain Bridge. I don't come across from Bethesda, coming across Chain Bridge, and I look up at those houses on the bluff over the river, and man, are they gorgeous. So I saw that and I was like, wow, man, if I could ever have the opportunity to buy one of those, I would. So I'm going to buy the McLean house for $25 million.
And then how much are you going to spend to renovate it? Do you see the kitchen?
Maybe about $10 million probably.
Yeah. You're going to be spending a pretty
See,
penny.
he shows me the pictures after I already commit. That commission,
Hey, there's a reason that it's at 136 of 151 in the video. They put the kitchen at the very end. They have the amazing drone shots of the river throughout the entire video.
I don't think it matters when you're paying $25 million. You just want that plot of land. You want that plot of land on the Potomac. The house, you can do things as you go. You got that much money, you're going to do it. So I'm buying it.
It's available for the first time in over 50 years, Shawn.
Yeah.
This is some of the most coveted real estate in the DC area. I'm so in. I could not be more in on the Gold Coast of McLean.
So he was trying to like sell me the other way, so I'd say no, and then he was going to grab it from underneath me.
But I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
Yeah.
Am I going to rent it? Because just like you, I think the house can be saved. I think it can be renovated. I think it can be. But the people that are buying on the Gold Coast for $25 million, they're gonna have things their way.
Oh yeah,
and they're gonna want it the way that they want it, and they've worked a lifetime to deserve it the way that they want it.
Sure.
And if one thing is out of place there, they're knocking the whole thing down and building whatever thing that they want to build.
So true. And
So
they will do it.
let us know if you're in or out on the Stratford house and the other houses in the comment section down below. And for Shawn and myself, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we'll see you then.
Take care.